Happy New Year, everyone! Look at this. Ain't this a poetic way to start the year? A Shadow Heatran with the CP 2026. Ain't that poetic? Caught on the first day of the year. And also, I caught a Hundo Swablu today. It's not shiny and the IVs are horrible, but who cares? The CP is absolutely perfection. Anyway, so Happy New Year's, everyone. We are now in the year 2026. And a shiny Tornadus would be very nice to start off the year. You know, it wouldn't be my first shiny of the year. I already got that today. In Pokemon Go, technically my first shiny of the year was a shiny costume Hoot Hoot on my sister's phone. But if we don't want to count that one, then technically the first shiny of the year was a shiny Scatterbug on my game. But by all means, technically the very first shiny I got during the year was a costume Hoot Hoot. And then a Scatterbug, and then another shiny costume Hoot Hoot on my phone. So those were the first shinies I got in the year. Let's see, tomorrow night I have another dinner party to celebrate the New Year's. I have, let me think, 3 entire families coming over. So plus mine, we have 4 entire families. My uncle and his family, 2 of my dad's friends and their families. Plus us. So tomorrow's going to be a busy night. You know, by my surprise, I really thought I would be alone this year, just because that's how it's been for quite a while. But no, last night I actually wasn't alone. Now, that's kind of not that big a deal, you know? I wasn't alone during New Year's. Wow, good for you, you know? It's not like I had anyone to really celebrate with, if you know what I mean. But it's like, wow, good for you. You weren't alone during New Year's. I really thought my sister would be out with her husband. No. She went to dinner with her husband and his family first. And then she came home. Well, she was watching shows with my parents, and then 5 minutes before midnight, we changed the channel to watch the countdown at Times Square in New York. And then, well, countdown's done. Let's get back to watching our show. That's pretty much how my New Year's went. The 4 of us, we just sat on the couch, watched the countdown, and then went about our night. It was the first New Year's without Toby. Anyway, so I'm waiting to see if anyone will show up, a certain someone, just to flashbang him. Oh, I didn't get any water. Hold on, give me a sec. Let me go get some water. Alright, so, you might be thinking that I'm here to discuss Chainsaw Man tonight. Wrong! Because 2 nights ago, I went out to go watch a movie with my friends at the theater. The movie we watched was Five Nights at Freddy's 2. And you already know, I am going to tear this film a new one. Now, I do know that as of the day that I watched the film with my friends, it was already out on digital, so we could have just watched it at home for free. But, you know, you can't beat that movie theater experience. And also, Matthew Lillard said himself, you know what happens in the third film, and if you want that third film, well, make sure the second film is a success. Of course, he could just be saying that to make his film more successful. As successful as it can be. And remember when I got my wisdom teeth done? That was days before FNAF 2 came out in theaters. Days! So yeah, Five Nights at Freddy's 2. I didn't have that high of expectations going into this film, because not gonna lie, in my opinion, the first movie was low-key trash. So my only hope for the second film was that it was simply better than the first. That's all I wanted, for the second film to be better than the first film. And you know what? Yeah, that's exactly what I got. A film that was simply better than the first one. By all means, I don't think this film is excellent. I'm gonna be honest, I feel like this film is just mid. But it's more mid, it's higher than the first film. I'm not gonna lie, the first film has almost like no rewatchability. At least to me. The first film, yeah, I really don't have any reason to rewatch it. Second film, though, oh yeah, I can see myself rewatching it every now and then. At least there's that going for the second film. And you know, the fact that they were able to pump the second film out as fast as they did compared to the first film, because we all know the production hell the first film went through, so the fact that they got past that, great! We can get more films now. Great. So yeah, the second film definitely is better than the first, but it still has its issues. And many issues does it have. So I'm gonna try my best to remember the plot as much as I can, since I only saw it once 2 nights ago. Or was it 3? No, 2 nights ago. I only watched it once 2 nights ago. I could have rewatched it at home to really refresh my knowledge on it. I just didn't have the time. And you know me, I am a big Five Nights at Freddy's fan. I haven't played the games on the channel yet, but just know, I am a big Five Nights at Freddy's fan. I have to be honest. I've kind of slowed down on my excitement for the franchise in recent years. The newer games just don't really excite me that much. I miss the simplicity, you know? The 2D, not really 2D, but, you know, the old school point and click, where there's a deep, complex lore that is between the lines of the gameplay. So when Five Nights at Freddy's went to being fully 3D, like you get to roam around and explore, it's just like, this just doesn't feel like Five Nights at Freddy's anymore. I mean, I'll give Help Wanted a pass, but Security Breach, Secret of the Mimic, those ones, I'm just not that interested. They just don't feel like Five Nights at Freddy's anymore, especially since those 2 games, it's not even 5 Nights at Freddy's, it's 1 night at Freddy's. More like 6 hours at Freddy's. And as complex as the plot, as the lore was during the Scott Cawthon point-and-click games, man, the plot has just become more absurd and even more hard to piece together after that. Security Breach especially. The plot was so messy, even the developers didn't know what they made. Great job. That's when you know that we were given quality. But yeah, I may have fallen out of the limelight for FNAF in the recent years, but I'm still a fan of the franchise, you know? I try to dip my hands at solving the lore every now and then. Yeah, I went over the first film. I don't know during what. I don't know what I was playing when I went over the first film. But yeah, I wasn't the biggest fan of the first film. It failed to cover the most simple foundations for the game. That is night security guard and watching the security cameras. They failed to do the most simple of concepts from the game. And that was one of my biggest issues with the first film. They never showed any of the security cameras. In the first movie, Mike never once did he sit down at his night security guard job, look at the camera monitors, and see the animatronics moving towards him. Never once did that happen. But instead, he befriended them, and then all of them together built a pillow fort? That was stupid. And I'm aware that the films don't have to tell the plot of the games one-to-one, like it's an adaptation. But because of the creative decisions they made for the first film, they kind of screwed themselves over moving forward when it comes to the lore. What am I talking about? The fact that they made Vanessa William Afton's daughter, that kind of screws up a lot right there. And with the implications of this second film and what happens, what it hints towards, it's like, wow, they really screwed themselves up. How are they going to explain this in the future? Because, not gonna lie. Okay. You know, jumping forward a bit, the end of the film does tease the third film. Okay, so let's begin. Let's dive right in. Let me go over the film and then break down my biggest issues and also things I liked about the film. Okay, so the movie begins with a flashback to the year 1982, if I'm not mistaken. Actually, let me look something up real quick. What year did the first movie take place? Didn't it take place in like the late 90s to early 2000s, like within maybe that 3-year span, anywhere from like 99 to 01? Okay. The first movie should have taken place in the year 2000. Okay. So that gives me an idea of how long it's been in universe since the first film. So FNAF 2 opens up with a flashback to the year 1982, where we see another Freddy Fazbear's Pizza location. This location is based on the FNAF 2 game location with the toy animatronics, a much bigger location, Kids Cove. This one even has an indoor river too. I don't think there was a river in the game, but who cares? So we see a little girl sitting in front of the stage waiting for something to come out to perform. We meet this girl, her name is Charlotte. Yep, Just like the games, she even wears a shirt that has red and white stripes on the arms. So Charlotte is fascinated, infatuated by the marionette, the puppet. And you know what? If I'm not mistaken, I think this is the very first time in FNAF history, unless the books did it, I never read the books, where the puppet is officially known as the marionette. When Five Nights at Freddy's 2 came out, we all called it the marionette, and then we all kind of shifted towards calling it the puppet. I don't know if the books ever called that thing the marionette or just the puppet. I think even in Ultimate Custom Night, it was simply known as the puppet. Anyway, so yeah. Charlotte just wants to sit there and wait for the marionette to come out and perform on stage. But a young blonde girl wants her to come back and enjoy some cake. Well, spoilers, that young girl was a young Vanessa. But Charlotte, she's just, you know, she's kind of an outsider. She's kind of an outcast. She's not really feeling the whole birthday party. She turns her head and sees a little boy being lured into the back with a man in a yellow suit. She notices the boy is probably in danger. She tries to warn adults, but everyone just brushes her off. Typical movie style. The horrible, totally oblivious adults. Gotta love these movie tropes. So she decides to go to the back herself, where she sees the man in the yellow bunny suit without the actual bunny head on, but his back is turned, cleaning up after himself. It looks like he was cleaning the dishes, because we see the boy lying unconscious on the floor, but he's unscathed. No wounds, no anything. So she tries to pick up the boy and save him, but the man in the yellow bunny suit takes notice. You know, he moves as fast as he can, wearing that spring-lock suit. And the girl, Charlotte, tries to carry the boy out as fast as she can to the exit. She steps out onto the stage where everyone watches her as she yells with a primal scream. But then she falls to the ground because she has 3 stab wounds on her back. The floor opens up where the puppet, the marionette, was supposed to come out. She falls down, and then the marionette floats up via strings, holding Charlotte in its arms. And that's the backstory of how Charlotte Emily became the marionette. It's not exactly the plot from the game, but fine. Fine, it works for the movie, I suppose. You see, that's why I feel like, why can't the movie just simply adapt the game's lore? Why is that so hard? You know, the game's not complex. The story is, but the gameplay, it's not that complex. Why is it so hard to just simply translate what we got in the game to the film? Like, why was it so hard to see little Charlotte locked outside on a rainy night, the puppet unable to get to her, and then probably a drunken William Afton drives up, kills her, and drives off? Like, why is it so hard to get that? But fine, whatever. Technically, William Afton did kill her, and she did become the puppet, so whatever. Anyway, so we flash forward 20 years after that event. So 20 years after 1982, that would be the year 2002. So 2 years has passed since the first film, which I think matches up since it's been 2 years since we got the first film, right? Let's see, yeah. Almost exactly 2 years ago, from the second film's release, was the first film. Once again, that first film was absolute garbage. Alright, so 2 years has passed. It is now the year 2002. Well, a couple things with our characters now. Vanessa, well, she's still scarred by the visions of her father. And Mike and Abby, they're... I don't know if they moved houses or not, or if they're just renovating. I must have missed that detail. But whatever, they're whatever house they're living in now is kind of run down. So while Abby goes to school, Mike and this other guy, who I don't even know the name of, they paint the walls, they try to fix it up. Matter of fact, what is this guy's name? I swear, there's characters in this movie that they only mentioned the names of one time. And if you missed it, too bad, you just don't know the names of these characters. I don't know, it says here on Google that the character's name was Jeremiah. Yeah, I guess I missed that. Alright, so while Abby goes to school, Mike and Jeremiah try to fix up the house. While at school, well, Abby tries to brag about her experience at Freddy's, but the kids just call her crazy. That really doesn't come back at all in the film. So, Abby is in a robotics class, and in this film, Abby said she's 11 years old, which first film she would have been 9, but that's not important. So if she's 11 years old in this film, what grade would that put her in? Like 5th grade? They were doing robotics in 5th grade? I can't even do robotics now. 5th grade doing robotics. Maybe that's an American thing. Anyway, so yeah. Some sort of like robotics school fair is happening. And the teacher, whatever his name was, oh, I see here his name was Mr. Berg. I really thought during the film his name was Mr. Burns, like in The Simpsons. But no, Mr. Berg. Mr. Berg is a dick, you know? And yes, don't think I don't recognize Wayne Knight. I really mostly know him from Space Jam. I didn't even know if this guy was still acting anymore. It's been so long since I've seen him in something. So yeah, there's a robotics class. There's some sort of robotics science fair going on at the school, like in a day or two, I think. And Mr. Berg really doesn't like Abby. You know, you would think a teacher would be supportive of his pupils, his students, but no, this guy, he's just like, Abby, I don't think you're suited for this. And I think it would be best if you just simply didn't attend. So, what does Abby do? Of course she tries to attend. Yeah, their reputation, their like winning streak, the school's winning streak is on the line, and the teacher, Mr. Berg, really doesn't want Abby to screw this up. Jeez, I had rough teachers, but not like this. So, we learned that Abby really misses her friends, the ghosts of the kids inside of the animatronic. She really wants to go back to Freddy's and be with them. But Mike, really wanting to move past all of this, Mike, he obviously doesn't want Abby to go back to that haunted restaurant. So what he does is he tells Abby a lie. That lie being, the animatronics at the restaurant are broken. And one day, Mike will go back and fix them. But until then, Abby, please don't go back there. Anyway, so Mike and Vanessa go on a date, even though Mike really doesn't want to acknowledge that it's a date. And I'm just like, brother, do you see how Vanessa looks? I would be so lucky if I was in his position. But anyways, yeah, Mike and Vanessa go on a quote-unquote date where Mike offers to help Vanessa with the fact that, you know, she has trouble sleeping. She has nightmares about her father. And Mike tries to help, since we know how much Mike went through in terms of his dreams, trying to find his brother. Well, by the time that Mike goes back home, Abby has already left to go to Freddy's to try to be with her friends. So Mike follows, finds Abby at the restaurant, and trying to cheer her up, just goes to the prize corner and offers Abby whatever she wants. She ends up going for this little, like, Freddy prompt speaking device. Like, you press a button and Freddy will say something. A little tablet-looking thing. But it almost acts like a, you know, a ghost translator, whatever that device is called that you see on paranormal shows. Speaking of paranormal shows, not only was Abby watching that on TV, we also meet the low-key Scooby Gang. 3 characters. We meet Lisa, which if you missed her name being Lisa, well, too bad. You just won't know what this character's name is. And 2 other guys who I honestly don't even know the names of. So we have Lisa and 2 other guys. They're paranormal hunters. They literally have a van that almost looks exactly like the Mystery Machine. So they were invited to an abandoned Freddy's location. Excuse me, I felt a burp coming. Ugh. They were invited to an abandoned Freddy's location by the night guard himself. So when they show up, they meet this really creepy looking security guard. His name is Michael. Ah, where do we know Michael's in the FNAF universe, So, he gives them a tour, and one by one, our characters, they drop like flies. Like, they die instantly. Lisa, using her headset to try to listen for any paranormal activities, she starts hearing music, and she follows it. She ends up going underneath, like the basement area, and she finds a music box. The music box keeping the marionette asleep and inside of her gift box. Well, she stops the music and that kind of frees the marionette. While she's down there and she kind of gets got by the marionette, Lisa dies almost instantly by the marionette. The other two guys, kind of Michael just led them to their deaths. One of the guys was just walking down the river tunnel, but then he got scared and then fell into the water, and I'm just like, dumbass, why didn't you immediately get out? You stood there in the water the whole time. And then a bunch of small little marionette dolls dragged him under and then tore him apart. You know, for as much as a PG-13 film can show. I don't know, it always disturbs me when we see water shaking and then the water turns red. I don't know, that's always disturbing to me. Maybe it's because I have a fear of water. And then the other guy, well, Mangle tears him apart, but, you know, we only see so much gore that's allowed, which is next to none. And they also never call this thing Mangle as well. In fact, they actually refer to it as Foxy. They never refer to it as Mangle, but they did acknowledge that Mangle was a failed pull apart and put back together experiment or attraction for the kids. And then Michael, the security guard, is just like, welcome back, Charlotte. So Michael clearly knows about her. Anyways, back over with the Schmidt family. Actually, no, before that. We see Vanessa, she's trying to move on with her life. She's at the gym doing cardio or whatnot. But then she just sees hallucinations of her father. So she tries to go back home and tries to sleep with static TV playing in the background. She falls asleep, and then we get this dream sequence. And this is where we see Matthew Lillard come into the film. The beginning of the film, he had his head turned the entire time. So we never got to see Matthew's face, or William Afton's face, in the beginning. So this dream sequence actually is the only time William Afton shows up in this film. And after watching the whole film, I'm thinking, they didn't really need him in this film. Let's be honest, he was really only in this film because he was contracted to. If he wasn't under contract to show up in this film, he would not be in this film at all. And honestly, there's almost no need for him to be in this film. That dream sequence teased something in the future, but aside from that, that dream sequence was kind of pointless. Matthew Lillard being in the film was kind of pointless. So, Vanessa dreams about being in her old childhood house with her abusive, deranged father, and she tries to confront him, but then, big scary daddy just overpowers her. Maybe I shouldn't have phrased it like that. She tries to confront her father, but then William Afton, having just too much aura, scares her by just his sheer magnitude. She tries to run away, but the dream doors are locked, so she tries to run and hide, reverts back to a child. She locks herself in his working quarters, hides inside the closet behind some clothes, and she even sees Circus Baby. She sees Circus Baby, and Circus Baby's eyes are already green. We know the story, her eyes were meant to be blue. But once Elizabeth got caught, then Circus Baby's eyes turned green. So, like I said, the fact that Vanessa is Afton's daughter kind of screws everything up. Unless you're telling me in this continuity Afton has 4 kids. Then again, they could change that too, you know? But yeah, unless William Afton in this continuity, in the movie's continuity, has 4 kids, has Michael, Elizabeth, Crying Child, and Vanessa, unless you're telling me that's the case, then who's inside of Circus Baby? Anyway, so yeah, we get a tease of Circus Baby. Wonder how many more films it will be, you know? Yada yada yada. During the dream sequence, she shoots her father. He falls 1 floor to his death, but he didn't even die. He just cackles like, "You'll never escape me. You are mine," whatever he said. Did you guys know Matthew Lillard, Purple Guy himself, is gonna show up in Daredevil Born Again? Yeah, so Vanessa is still pretty haunted by her father. Once again, this is the only time in the film where William Afton even shows up. So there was really no point to having Matthew Lillard in the film. Honestly, I would be surprised if he filmed for more than a single day for this movie. Because he honestly could have just filmed all his scenes in a single day. You know, given what we saw. Maybe there are scenes that ended up on the chopping room floor. But still, for what we saw, he probably filmed that scene for a single day, and then it's like, well, I got my paycheck. So back at the Schmidt house. Back at the Schmidt house, Abby, she made a little robotic Chica, since Chica's her favorite, and I'm just thinking, how did she do that? How did she mold the plastic into a Chica form? How'd she do that? I can understand the inside wiring, like she probably assembled some wires and did whatnot for the internal circuitry, but how'd she get the outside? Whatever. unless I'm forgetting something, which I don't think I am. Well, it's nighttime. That little ghost translator Freddy Fazbear tablet that she took, well, it starts speaking to her. So in the middle of the night, she sneaks out, literally as it's thunderstorming too. But the moment she gets out of the house, it stops thunderstorming, so she's able to go. She sneaks out in the middle of the night, bikes all the way to the other Freddy Fazbear's location, which you have to assume is further away, right? I assume that the location of the first film's establishment is in town. I assume the second one is a good distance away. Like, I would say maybe bike half an hour to an hour away instead of like a car drive, like 10 minutes away, that kind. You have to assume that it's a fair distance away, since we find out later in the film, Mike never even knew there was more than one location. So that means it's not in town. He would know if there were 2 locations in town. So you would assume the second location is a fair distance away for Mike to never even know it existed. But yet Abby was just able to bike there and then bike all the way back before morning. Okay, whatever. So she bikes all the way to the FNAF 2 location because her ghost translator is saying, Abby, please help us. We'll tell you where to go. And we'll tell you what to do to help us when you get here. So she goes all the way there. And then, the first character she sees is Toy Chica. Just like, do you like my new body? Yeah, it's very sleek. And, I'm just gonna say it now, I could not help but notice the animatronic with the most screen time in the second film is Toy Chica. Why did they give Toy Chica the most amount of screen time? I wonder. Could they have known the fans wanted to see her the most? It's almost like they saw the memes of people going like, people applauding when Toy Chica goes on screen, and then they just keep on hearing clapping noises, even when they see no one applauding. They really made Toy Chica the one with the most screen time. How insane is that? Like, there's no way it's a coincidence. They have to have known how the community views Toy Chica. They have to have known. So anyways, yeah. Toy Chica. Anyways, morning time. Vanessa comes over to visit, and she just gets jump scared by Abby hiding behind the door, playing hide and seek. Look, there's a lot of cheap jump scares in this movie. Which, you know what? I'll give the film credit for. The first film actually was lacking in jump scares. That's kind of what FNAF is known for, besides the plot. So the first film, while having a dumbass plot, was also lacking jump scares. I'll give them that to the second film. While a lot of the jump scares were cheap and predictable, there were still more than the first film. And not gonna lie, some of them did get me. I didn't scream out during the theater, but still, some of them did get me. Anyway, so Mike went out to get breakfast, and Abby just tells Vanessa that she saw her friends last night. She saw her friends last night. You know, at the other location, not the first one. So when Mike comes back with breakfast, Vanessa pulls him aside to talk, and she tries to tell Mike about the fact that, hey, she said she was with her friends last night, and she mentioned the other location as well, but Mike, you know, because script writing for a movie, he just doesn't listen to her, he just doesn't hear the things that she says, and doesn't allow her to finish her sentence trying to warn him. He's just like, Vanessa, I wanted to move on from this. I thought you wanted to, but here we are reliving the same thing. She's a kid. She needs help. What she needs right now is to move on from all of that craziness. And then, you know, Mike says the wrong thing because script writing. It's just like, I'm trying to fix her, just like I'm trying to fix you. And then she takes offense to that. Anyway, so... Oh yeah. While Mike was picking up Abby from the location, you know, when Abby snuck out in the middle of the night, before driving Abby home, he did also see this paper. And I completely forgot to mention the Faz Fair. So there's, ever since the first film, the interest in the the interest in the Freddy Fazbear brand has skyrocketed. So now there's an entire themed festival behind Freddy Fazbear's. Faz Fest, I think it was called. Where at night, the kids will dress up as their favorite Freddy Fazbear's character, and, you know, there's a whole street fair or whatever. Not gonna lie, that whole plot line was irrelevant to the film. Like, completely. So, Mike saw a flyer that says, want to know about the Freddy Fazbear murders? Call this number. So Mike, off-screen, did call it. And that's where he reveals to Vanessa that he knows about Charlotte. He's just like, why didn't you tell me there were more than 5 victims? How many more victims were there thanks to your father? So Vanessa knows that they know. So what does Vanessa do? Vanessa goes to the location to speak to Charlotte. While Vanessa's there, she speaks to Charlotte. Turns out it was Vanessa who planted the music box that keeps Charlotte asleep. You know, Charlotte while in marionette form. And I guess that... I'm going to assume that over the years, Vanessa kept on going back there to replace the batteries on the music box, because it can't just run indefinitely for 20 years. So I'm going to assume off-screen, unmentioned in the film, that Vanessa every now and then went back to the restaurant to replace the batteries on that thing, or rather just rewind it up. Because they never mentioned it. So because they never mentioned it, are you telling me that she just left the music box playing there for 20 years? So yeah, Vanessa goes back, tries to speak to Charlotte, who is the marionette. And, well, the marionette has possessed Lisa, who is very much dead now. And that was a weird choice for the film, I'm not gonna lie. Having the marionette possess individuals, and then that possessed individual takes on the likeness of the marionette. That was a really weird choice. So, whatever. What the marionette wants in the film is revenge on all adults. Alright. Because Charlotte doesn't blame the kids for letting her die, but rather all of the incompetent parents and adults. So she wants to take revenge on all adults. But she's trapped at the location. She's unable to leave. Just like all the animatronics are not able to leave. Because they have a security lock on them. They cannot leave the restaurant. So anyways, Vanessa vows to stop her, but then she gets taken. We'll come back to this later on. So Mike drops off Abby at the school for the robotics fair, whatnot. But before Mike goes in, he wants to go do something real quick. And what he does is he goes and talks to the person who he called, which was Charlotte's father, Henry. And if you know your game lore, that was Henry Emily. And I'm not gonna lie, he damn near looks perfect. The one still shot we have of Henry, from the books, I think, yeah, he looks damn near perfect for live action. So, let's see. At the fair, Mr. Burns, he purposely destroys, quote-unquote, accidentally purposely destroys Abby's project because he just doesn't want her ass to be there. He's just like, oh, I'm so sorry. It was such an accident that I destroyed your project. Tell you what, I'll give you an A+, a passing grade for the class, right? Now you can just go home. Some kid even had the nerve to be like, you're a dick, Mr. Burns. He's just like, who said that? So, yeah, Abby runs away. She actually bikes all the way back to the FNAF location, the Freddy Fazbear's location. Again, it's like, you have to assume it's a fair distance away, right? She bikes all the way there. She tells Toy Chica what happened. Toy Chica's just like, hey, I'll be your project. I'll replace your project for you, but you have to do something for us first. And then she takes Abby to the computer monitor and tells her to enter a password that will disable their perimeter lock so that they can actually leave the restaurant. We also see Toy Bonnie and Toy Freddy as well. By the way, if you didn't know, Megan Fox voiced Toy Chica. I guess with such a big name attached, they wanted to make sure Megan Fox had, you know, less than just 2 voice lines, so maybe that's why Toy Chica appeared the most in the film. So, it turns out that the marionette controls all of the toy animatronics. All of them. The marionette doesn't... Wait, Charlotte doesn't just control the marionette. Charlotte controls all of them. So I guess there was no original, like, no second missing kids incident in this world. The first missing kids incident went into the original Freddy, Bonnie, Chica, Foxy, and Golden Freddy. And then, that location got closed. The location for FNAF 2 opened up, and then another 5 kids went missing, which should have ended up in the toy animatronics. If I have my lore correct, it gets confusing. It's unclear if there was 5 or 10 kids missing. You know? Because if there were 10 kids missing, then I guess the 5 inside the toys were very unvengeful spirits. Because they don't really show back up after FNAF 2. Well, except Balloon Boy, but whatever. You know, it's very unclear if there were more than 5 kids missing. I think we kind of come to a consensus that another group of 5 kids were killed and then became the toy animatronics, I think. So I guess there wasn't that in this movie universe. Only 5, or I guess 6, were killed. You know, the 6 being the originals. Freddy, Bonnie, Chica, Foxy, Golden Freddy, and now Marionette, so only 6 kids were killed. So, over the security camera, a possessed Lisa, which is Lisa no more, a marionette, a Charlotte, is making Vanessa watch as Toy Chica threatens to pretty much kill Abby if Vanessa didn't give the password to disable the locks. Well, Vanessa gives up the password. Abby enters it into the computer, and well, all the animatronics are now able to go free. So, Toy Chica goes with Abby to the science fair project. What? The science fair. The robotic science fair. While Toy Freddy and Toy Bonnie go out and try to wreak some havoc. Try to kill some adults. Alright, so Mike went to meet with Henry. Henry, at first, doesn't really reveal damn near anything to him. Henry reveals small things, like, you know, he knew that the kids were killed by this man, shows a picture of a young William Afton, which looks like a recreation of the picture we see in the books, if I'm not mistaken. And then with the newspaper clippings that he shows Mike, he notices, hey, where's this location? There's a river in this picture. I don't remember a river being in the location I was in. Oh, no, this was the location before. There's more than one location. Oh, no, Abby said she was just there. I think Abby is here. I gotta go now. Henry did also mention that, you know, it was his daughter who got killed, blah, blah, blah. So, Mike says he's going to the location. Henry stops him and is just like, oh, can you give this to her? Can you bring this with you? It's a music box I made for my daughter. It helped her sleep. I know it sounds crazy, but if you're going there, can you bring this for her? Yeah, sure, let me bring it for her. Wow, that was very convenient. A makeshift replacement music box for the one that was broken earlier in the film. Alright, so Mike is on his way to the restaurant. Over at the school... By the way, by now it's nighttime, so this took the whole day. Now it's nighttime. Over at the school, Abby shows up with Toy Chica and Mr. Burns. He's just like, this is a joke, a mockery of our school, having someone in a robotics costume. Get lost! Get out of my face, Abby! Toy Chica's just like, let me talk to him. I just want to see what goes on inside of his head. Oh, also, how did they even get there? Because Abby was just on a bike. Well, we get special guest cameo Corey X. Kenshin, who plays the taxi driver again. Abby shows up where even Corey's character recognizes Abby, and then he sees the fact that Toy Chica got into his cab. And she dropped her beak. She dropped her beak. So yeah, that's how they got to the school. Alright. So Mr. Berg is being hunted down by Toy Chica. And Toy Chica actually kills him. She squishes his head between her hands, Omni-Man style. And then we see him die. But nothing comes from that in the film. We never get anything following that in the film. I doubt Toy Chica hid the body. So we never got to see any staff or students find the body of a dead teacher in the school. We never hear the teacher be reported missing. Nothing. The teacher just dies and we don't hear anything from it afterwards. So anyways. So, Mike goes to the location, but the front is locked, so he climbs in through a window. And when he does climb in through a window, he ends up in one of the back storage rooms, where he very coincidentally finds a flashlight. And then, when he turns it on, he sees the withered animatronics. Story-wise, they were meant to be the original animatronics just broken down, and then when that location closed, they were repaired and then, you know, reappointed as the main attractions. But no, in this iteration, they were completely different, completely separate. In this iteration, they were prototypes for the original. And also, yes, the marionette controls them too. The marionette controls a whole lot. Let's see. The marionette controls Toy Freddy, Bonnie, Chica, Mangle, Balloon Boy. So that's already 5. Also controls Withered, Freddy, Bonnie, Fox, Chica, and Foxy. So that the marionette controls 9 other animatronics. But anyways, yeah, the prototype withered animatronics, they don't work. Not yet. So Mike searches the restaurant for Abby, not knowing Abby's gone, but he hears sounds coming from one of the big-ass lockers. He opens it and he finds Vanessa tied up in there. So he frees her and then they need to come up with a plan. Throughout it, though, they also hear Balloon Boy's laughter in the background. So what they need to do is they need to make it to the security office where the computer is. But they hear a Balloon Boy in their way, so they have to go a different way. They go through the river tunnel, stupidly enough. Mike somehow falls into the water, because of course he does. He falls in the water and then doesn't immediately climb out? No, he just stands there because he hears something approaching in the water. And instead of immediately climbing out of the water like any rational person would, he just stands there, waiting. It isn't until Vanessa says, "Here, give me your hand, I'll help you out," that he makes any effort to get out of the water. Oh, whatever. Balloon Boy somehow moved underwater and is approaching them. And then his propeller on the top of his head spun so fast, it's almost like that was making him levitate and float. I don't know. Well, regardless, they make it all the way to the security office, and Mike's clothes are completely dry now as well. I thought he fell into water. I thought his whole body fell into water. Nope, his clothes are completely dry now, I think. Alright, so they need to split up. Vanessa needs to go out into town and search for the toy animatronics while Mike stays here and tries to disconnect the signal. Because Mike realizes, hey, the marionette controls them all, right? If we can jam the signal, or if we can undo the signal from here, then problem solved, right? Alright, so Vanessa leaves and Mike stays behind at the computer trying to figure out how to block the signal or disconnect the signal. He even asks Vanessa as she leaves, "Hey, how do I close the doors here?" She says, "Oh, there are no doors." I'm just thinking, the fuck you asking the doors for, man? The hell you asking about the doors for? You never even used the doors in the first film. Talk about how you close the doors here. Man, I swear to God, you didn't even use the doors in the first film. So finally, the stage is set, no pun intended. Finally, he is in the office of the FNAF 2 game. No doors, vents, flashlight, and a Freddy mask to his side. He even looks to the side and acknowledges there's no way that'll work, right? So, finally, it is the setting of the second film. It was that hard? All that build up just to get here. Shit, let me write the script. I can write a better script than this jumbled mess. So, yeah, Vanessa drives out into town, but she tries to drive into town, but she somehow fails to realize that Mangle is on the roof of her car. How did that happen? Because if she didn't see Mangle on the roof of her car as she got in her car, then Mangle had to have gotten on top of the car after it was moving. Can Mangle move as fast as a driving car? And if so, how did Vanessa not notice a glowing-eyed robotic contraption following her in the rear of her car? Unless Mango super jumped up high, landed on the car as it moved, but then again, that should have crushed the car. Whatever. Somehow Vanessa didn't know Mango was on the roof of her car. She gets attacked while driving. That causes her to crash her car off the road. Well, she tries to get back into her car and drive away, but then Mango is still on the pursuit. Abby actually won the science fair. But then, oh no, the Mike is trying to hack in on his end, so the animatronics, Toy Chica realizes, oh no, time to activate the others. So the withered animatronics wake up and start approaching the office to attack Mike. So Toy Freddy and Toy Bonnie, they also go to random households with adults and parents, and they try to attack. Toy Freddy goes to this random couple's house, and don't think I don't recognize that actress. It's Anne Mahoney, or On. Whatever. Anne Mahoney. She was Olivia on The Walking Dead. She gets attacked by Toy Freddy. But before Toy Freddy can kill them, Vanessa shows up, stops her car so that Mango can be flung off the roof, crashes right into the house, and kind of, you know, knocks the wind out of Toy Freddy. So then Vanessa helps the couple leave. Toy Bonnie also goes to this random person's house where first Toy Bonnie befriends the kid and then tries to attack the mom in the kitchen. Matt Pat voices Toy Bonnie, but I'm not gonna lie, it sounded nothing like him. Sounded even more high-pitched than his voice already is. Yeah, Toy Bonnie kind of didn't sound like Matt Pat at all. Little bit disappointing, you know? I'm not too sure who voices Toy Freddy. He only had like one line in the whole film. It kind of just sounded like Glam Rock Freddy. I don't know if it was the same guy voicing Toy Freddy. Am I also the only one who finds it a little bit bizarre that the animatronics speak now? You know, they didn't speak in the first film, but I suppose the original 4, their technology was much more older than the toy ones were. So, yeah. We finally get to see Mike in the position that we wanted to see him in. He is in the security room on the computer trying to disconnect the signal. And as he's doing it, the animatronics, they show up, try to get him. And then he makes the brilliant move, like genuinely brilliant move, to put the Freddy face mask over his. And it actually works. Like, yeah, that actually works. So he tries his best, and I don't know what he was doing. He took his sweet time to find the way to disconnect the signal. You would think he would have done it right away, but whatever. He slowly gets surrounded because Withered Bonnie is in the vent. Withered Freddy and Chica are approaching. But, you know, it wasn't until they got right up in his face that he decided to put the mask on. I'm just like, you idiot! Why did you wait until they were just about to get you before you put that mask over your face? You should have put that on long ago, but fine, it works. It isn't until Withered Foxy shows up that the mask doesn't work. And I'm just thinking, try the flashlight, 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 try the flashlight. He doesn't try the flashlight. Instead, he just really quickly... He just really quickly goes on the computer and disconnects the signal. And that works. You know, Withered Bonnie was coming out of the vent. And the vent actually had like a caging unit, whatever, over the actual vent hole. The button didn't even light. Didn't do anything for the light. You know, you're supposed to press a button so that there would be light in the vent, but no. No, that was just there for aesthetics. But, like, I'm so happy that we finally got the frickin' setting for the game, but, like, god damn it, you were so close! You were so close! You had Mike in the position, in front of the door, next to the vents, animatronics approaching, the face mask, the flashlight. You were so close! The only thing missing was the security cameras. Mike was so busy on the computer trying to disconnect the signal, he never tried to look at the security cameras. God damn it! That was my biggest issue with the first film as well. Mike, the security guard, never once looked at the cameras and saw the animatronics moving and getting close to him. Why is it so hard for the movie to do the bare basics from the games? All I want to see is the security guard looking at the cameras and seeing the animatronics move towards him. How hard is it to do that? You had everything right for the second film, the second game, just the cameras were missing. The first film didn't even have anything remotely close to that. In the first film, Mike fell asleep at his desk and then he walked out. He never once saw the animatronics move, think, oh my god, why are they moving? Holy shit, they're coming towards me. Oh, they're right at the door. Close the button. Hit the button, close the door. Okay, they wandered off. I can open the door now because I'm running out of power. Oh, it bothers me. It pisses me off so much. It would have been so easy to do the films. But they fumbled it so hard. Whatever. Moving on. So, Mike, he disconnected the marionette. He disconnected Charlotte from the other animatronics. Yippee. However, there's still one. And that is a signal coming from their house. Mike's house. So he has to go. Oh, also, it turns out, I saw this online. And I guess I missed it. I guess all my friends missed it. I guess my entire theater missed it. Because I heard no one say anything about this. Granted, we were sitting in the theater. But still, I heard no one gasp. No one point and be like, oh my god, did you see that? I heard no one pick up on this. Unless what I saw online was fake. Was there a Shadow Bonnie moment that I missed? When Mike turned on his flashlight, was there really a Shadow Bonnie there? If there was, then I missed it, and all my friends missed it. I don't know if it's real or not, but it might be. Oh, nope. From what I see, it probably is real. I really gotta rewatch the film and take a look. Also, where's Mark William? Where's the Markiplier cameo? I suppose Markiplier was too busy filming his own movie. Markiplier was too busy on Iron Lung that he couldn't shoot a cameo for this film. You know, the only cameo in this film was actually Corey X. Kenshin. MatPat voiced Toy Bonnie in this film, so there was no reason for him to actually show up. And besides, he already has an in-universe character, being that Ness waiter guy in the first film. Which, gee, I wonder why they chose him to be named Ness. Is it because he's Sans? Whatever. So, Mike is on his way back home because the signal is coming from his house. Vanessa's car broke down. Oh, also, the moment Mike disconnected the signal, Toy Bonnie was stopped from killing the mother of that little girl. Cool. So yeah, Vanessa's car broke down, and coincidentally, Jeremiah shows up and you know, gives her a lift to Mike's house. At Mike's house, Toy Chica puts Abby to bed, but then it turns out that Toy Chica was housing the marionette the whole time, because Toy Chica's chest cavity bursts open as if we were watching something from Predator. Alien, not Predator, Alien. And then marionette literally just springs out of Toy Chica. Well, I guess they incorporated Lefty, and I guess we're also never gonna get Lefty. So by the time that Vanessa shows up, Abby is already possessed by Marionette or Charlotte. So Charlotte hunts down Vanessa, and as literally an Abby jump scare is about to get Vanessa, Mike shows up and plays the music box, and somehow the music box playing gets Abby unpossessed. Okay. So, Vanessa, Mike, and Abby, they're about to leave. Uh-oh. Evil villain shows up. It's Michael. He's just like, hey, sis. So, yes, if it already wasn't clear, Michael is the brother to Vanessa Afton, and he even just straight up introduces himself. I am Michael Afton. Why is he doing this? Well, he knows what his father was like. He knows about his father's legacy, and he's just like, our father's legacy will continue. He wants to continue his father's work. Okay. Anyway, so he has a house surrounded by the toy animatronics who somehow just show up on time, all the time. Oh yeah, also Toy Freddy walked down the road for Faz Fest. Everyone thought it was the best costume ever. Again, Faz Fest did nothing. Did nothing for the film. The whole reason they even had Faz Fest was not only to have one of the animatronics out in public and nobody realized, but also because Michael, after killing these three, wanted the animatronics to go to Faz Fest and just go on a killing spree. Why? Because! Just because he wanted them to. Oh, right. Right. Before Mike showed up, he also made a quick stop at the original location, where he begged all of the animatronics, if you're still here, Abby needs your help now. And then Mike shows up with the music box. So yeah, Michael Afton is kind of deranged in this film. So he gets his animatronics to kill them, but then, wow, heroic entrance as if the Avengers just showed up. The original 4 animatronics showed up and just kicked their asses. Literally destroyed the toy animatronics. What? I think they probably thought that was cooler as they were making the film, but it just kind of came off goofy. So, Freddy takes out Toy Freddy. Bonnie takes out Toy Bonnie. Foxy takes out Mangle. And then Chica takes out Toy Chica. Michael Afton, he runs, but then he kind of gets clotheslined by Jeremiah. Inside, Toy Chica falls, so Abby stands over her and cries, because the machines are breaking. They weren't meant to be outside of Freddy's. So then one of the ghosts of the boys, of the kids, a little ghost boy shows up and says, "We're going now, but once we're gone, he will be free, and he'll return more powerful than he was before." It's like, who? But then the boy disappears. Now, I don't recognize, like, which animatronic this boy was inhabiting. I can't tell if this is, like, I don't know, Freddy, or if this was Golden Freddy. Because Golden Freddy didn't show up at all in this film. And technically, if any of them was holding William Afton there, it would have been Golden Freddy. So I'm going to assume this was the ghost haunting Golden Freddy. So Jeremiah comes in to see, hey, what's going on? Whoa, this is a big mess. Anyways, let's go. So as they all walk outside, Mike just tells Vanessa, stay away from us, leave us alone. Because Mike has had enough. Since Vanessa never told him that she has a deranged brother, what else is Vanessa not telling them? So as Mike and Abby leave their own house with Jeremiah, Vanessa just stands there, and then in the background we see the marionette possess her. We see the marionette possess Vanessa, and then the credits roll. Huh? We do get 2 post-credit scenes, though. Or rather, 1 actual scene, and then the second one just audio. So the first post-credit scene, we see a couple of guys going into Freddy's, trying to gather whatever they can, because Freddy's is set to be demolished the next day. So they only have this night to break in, I guess, and take whatever they can. And we know exactly what they're taking, what they are taking things for. Their brand new horror attraction. So they go in, they try to find artifacts of Freddy Fazbear. And then the third guy in the room is just like, hey, I think I found a secret room. You should come take a look. I was just like, a real one, a real one. You found a real one, a real one. The guy literally says, I found one. It's a real one. And I'm just like, yes! Yes! I was so excited when he actually said a real one. So they did. They found Springtrap. They found a very decrepit yellow spring Bonnie suit. The guy, kind of hesitates at first to wrap him up before putting him into the truck and leaving. And then we even see Springtrap's eye glow. Just one eye, though. And obviously we know this is teasing Fazbear Fright. Fazbear Fright and Springtrap being there. Now, I wonder if one of those guys was meant to be Phone Dude. Because that's actually something else we haven't really gotten in the FNAF films, unless I'm forgetting from the first film. We haven't exactly gotten Phone Guy, which is like another very integral part of the games. So assuming one of those guys was Phone Dude, they just found Springtrap, and that's obviously teasing the third film, and I'm really hoping the third film will have Matthew Lillard play a much bigger role, because Matthew Lillard played a very small role in the first film, and he honestly didn't even need to have any roles in the second film. So I'm really hoping Matthew Lillard has a big role in the third film. Big role as in like co-lead. I'm really hoping for him to be like one of the co-leads in the third film. Please! So that was the first post-credit scene. The second one is audio only. The credits are still rolling. There's nothing visual. It's actually a call, a message from Henry to Mike. Henry is trying to get a message out to Mike, telling him, he was saying like, I should have told you this from the start. I should have been honest with you. I was the previous business partner with William Afton. And then we hear something happen to Henry Emily. Almost, not exactly, but almost kind of reminisces back on the end of FNAF 1, where Phone Guy got killed by what sounds like Golden Freddy. Sounds like that. It sounds like something happened to Henry right as he was delivering his message to Mike. And well, that's the Five Nights at Freddy's 2 movie. Like I said, it was better than the first film, but there were still issues. There were still many issues. Like, how about the fact that promotion-wise, they were teasing McKenna Grace to be such a big, important character in the film, only for her to be a throwaway character. She was killed off immediately. You know? When I talked about this with my friends immediately after the film, they were like, what about the character of Lisa? They were like, who? And I just went, exactly. Like, they mentioned her name once, really quick, and if you missed it, well, too bad. You just don't know what her name is. So yeah, the fact that they were hyping her up to be such a big character, only for her to be killed off immediately, only for her to be a throwaway character. I mean, I have to think if I was in her position. Me personally, I would be honored if I were in a franchise, in a movie franchise that I was a big fan of, and if I was killed right away. I would be honored if that were the case. If I was in a movie of a franchise I'm a huge fan of, and if I was killed right away. It's kind of like, you know, I would be honored if I was in a Walking Dead episode for not even 5 minutes, and my whole purpose in the episode was to be very brutally killed and torn apart. I would be honored. But yeah, I know it probably is a super exciting opportunity for McKenna Grace, but as a fan, as an audience member, I'm just thinking like, damn, what a waste of a character. What a waste of pretty much everything with that storyline. The other issues I had with this film, like I said, they failed to do the very core basics of the game, which is security cameras. They were so close too. Like I said, they had Mike in the office, putting on the Freddy mask, using the flashlight to see down the hall, the vents, but they just for some reason can't have him look at the cameras. Like, why is that so hard to do? I just wanted to see the security guard doing his job at Freddy's, sees on the security camera, hey, where'd the animatronics go? Search around the cameras. Wait, how did Bonnie get there? How did Chica get there? Are they moving closer? Oh no, they're moving closer towards me. Oh my god, they're just about to reach the door. Panic. I gotta hit the button, close the door. Oh, okay, they can't get in. They're banging on the door. I'm scared, I'm terrified for my life. They're banging at the door. Okay, the door's closed, they're starting to leave. Good. I can't leave that door closed for too long. It's draining power. Like, why is that so hard to do? You know, if I were to rewrite the first film, I would take out damn near all the useless crap that they put in. And I would pretty much do the most simplest of things. I would just have, if we're following our main character, I would have Josh Hutcherson playing Mike. He gets a job at Freddy's. He goes in, maybe first night he hears a couple things, but nothing really happens. Fine. Night 2, he comes back. He looks at the cameras, exactly what I said. Are the characters moving? Oh shit. You might be wondering, well, why would he return night 3 if he's in danger? Maybe during the night, as he's fighting for his life, things pop up in his office, like sheets of paper, like the newspaper articles, right? Instead of being in the hallway, what if newspaper articles, like pieces of paper, really do just appear in front of him? And he takes a look. Missing kids incident? A convicted murderer? So then he's kind of motivated. Albeit a very weak motivation, but you know, still something. He's like, he goes back and he contemplates. Do I go back tonight? I know they're trying to kill me, but if those are really dead kids possessing those machines, I need to see if I can help them. So he goes back for night 3. As he tries to survive, you know, it's getting worse. They're getting more active. He tries to shout like, hey, I can help you guys. You were killed here, right? I can help you. And so on and so forth. But anyway, so that rambles aside. I'm not gonna lie, I'm not a huge fan of the direction they went with this film, particularly with some of the characters. Some of the character assassinations. Because Michael Afton, the plot, once again, the lore gets confusing. There's debate back and forth if Michael Afton was helping his father in the background or not. I don't think he was. So, Michael Afton helping his father, continuing his work, his legacy, makes it really hard for me to see one day that, you know, Michael Afton, the guy who goes into Circus Baby Pizzeria, or whatever it was called, for him to go down into Circus Babies, trying to look for his sister who should be possessing Circus Baby, get scooped, and then it's just like, I survived somehow. I'm going to come find you. You know, it makes it really hard for me to see this character do that. Go down into Circus Babies, get scooped, search for his father, find a job opening, and then the entire establishment burns down. Like, it's really hard for me to see that happen with the way this character was acting. So, you know, the character of Michael Afton, a complete character assassination. And like I mentioned earlier, what about Circus Baby? Who is possessing Circus Baby? Is there another child that we haven't learned about yet? I mean, I guess we didn't hear anything about Michael Afton in the first film, despite knowing he exists because of the games. what else didn't I like? Oh, yeah. So there's also this as well that now I'm kind of sad we're not going to see in the third film, because they kind of screwed themselves up at the end of the first film. Because the end of the first film, William Afton got spring-locked. Remember that? The end of the first movie, William Afton got spring-locked. You know what that basically means we're not going to see in the movies? The FNAF 3 minigames, where William Afton, inside the Freddy's location, one by one tears apart the animatronics. Then the ghosts scare him to going into the spring-lock suit where he gets spring-locked. We're not going to see that. And if we do see that, they're going to have to come up with a damn good reason on why that's happening in the movie. Because in the movies, not only is he already spring-locked, that means he can't run around and tear the animatronics apart. By the end of the second film, the animatronics break down and their souls move on. I'm assuming the soul of Golden Freddy, even himself says, once he's gone, there's no one holding him back. He'll come back and he'll be more powerful than before. So the souls are gone. Oh, man. Man, this is why I find it to be such a shame, such a missed opportunity, that the films pretty much just combined a bunch of storylines from across the games and just spat it all out. Instead of just following the linear story we had in the games. So because of this, we're not going to see the FNAF 3 mini games. We also just... Oh! How can I forget? The marionette was the main antagonist of this film. We never got to see... Well, that's partially because of the first film, too. We never got to see the marionette give gifts, give life. We never got to see that. The marionette in this continuity is completely disconnected from that, because the marionette is stuck to this location, has nothing to do with the other 5 murders. Because supposedly in the first film, William Afton killed the kids, and then he himself hid them in the suits. The marionette had nothing to do with it. God damn it! Man, that would have been so cool to see in real life. Or in live action. Can you imagine this? Just imagine live action. A dark hallway inside of Freddy's. The puppet. The marionette just floating on its own. We see a gray, dead body on the floor. The puppet picks up one of the mascot heads and puts it over them. Puts it over all of them. We didn't get that, and we're never getting that. It would have been so easy. We never got to see the puppet give gifts, give life. And we didn't even get to see other mini games too. Well, like, what about the Foxy Go 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 mini game, right? And we clearly did not ever we did not see, nor will we ever see, the mini game where the child is locked outside a car rolls up, kills a child, and then the car drives away. You know what we're probably also not going to see in the third film? The Happiest Day minigame. And you know what else? What does Vanessa being possessed by the marionette mean for the third film? Are we going to get Vanny in the third film way ahead of schedule? Like, how will that work, right? Well, the third film, Mike somehow finds himself in the position that is night security guard at Fazbear Frights, gets pursued by Springtrap, and then he also has to deal with Vanny? I don't know, it kind of would make more sense movie-wise for Charlotte possessing Vanessa to go after Springtrap. That would kind of make more sense. I don't know. The plot of the films is such a mess. Well, I got exactly what I wanted, which is the second film being better than the first. But that bar already wasn't high. I gotta say, the ending was very weak. It was horribly weak. You know, the original animatronics showing up like the Avengers, just flawlessly, effortlessly taking out the toy animatronics. And then Vanessa getting possessed. It felt cut off. It felt like the story was incomplete. Like, it didn't really feel like the story for the second film was done. And then they just started teasing the third film. The ending was very weak in my eyes. If you liked it, good for you. For me, it was not a good ending. I want it so badly for these films to be good, you know? While I feel like the rating is really holding it back, the PG-13 rating, you know, because it's a kid's game and kids will watch it and we can't put too much violence for kids, otherwise we can't make our money. God damn it! What a shame! What a missed opportunity just because of the world we live in. Imagine a rated R Five Nights at Freddy's movie. We would actually see the missing children's incident playing out. We would actually, let's say, maybe see the animatronics kill the previous night security guard. Even with the eyeballs popping out of the face mask, too. Like, actual horror, actual jump scares. The Five Nights at Freddy's movies are such a mess. And it was so easily avoidable. The plot was so easy to do, yet they added so much additional crap that is pointless. I hear fireworks outside. Ugh. I'm pretty sure I mentioned this already. There was no Golden Freddy in this film, unless that ghost boy was Golden Freddy. Like, there was no Golden Freddy in this film. There was barely Golden Freddy in the first film. Which I get it, Golden Freddy doesn't really show up, but, you know, for him to not show up at all in this film, it's just like, damn, what a shame. So yeah, Five Nights at Freddy's 2. Let me know what you guys thought about the film. Did you like it? Did you like it more than me? Did you think it was disappointing like I did? Let me know. If this is what the first and second film was like, then, not gonna lie, my expectations for the third film has significantly dropped. I'm trying to think what else is there that I missed. Oh yeah, something, this is more of a nitpick, I guess, because, you know, the game's continuity, before Charlotte died and became the marionette, the puppet's mask did not have the tear marks. It wasn't until after she died that they had that. So I feel like that would have been a nice detail for the film. Before Charlotte died, the marionette had no tears on its mask. After Charlotte died, did they show up? But we never saw the marionette before Charlotte died. We only saw it after. Well, inside of the river tunnel, we saw small marionette dolls with tear marks. So clearly the design was there before Charlotte died. I don't know. I'm disappointed by what they chose to do with the plot. Eh. Oh, that's right. That happened too. When Mike was at the computer, Balloon Boy showed up. Mike just walked up to Balloon Boy and ripped his head off. What? On the speaker, Balloon Boy did also play some loud screeching sound, more so akin to the third game. When you know, Phantom Puppet showed up, but whatever. I don't know, he just kind of ripped Balloon Boy's head off. I don't know, and it kind of wouldn't make sense to see Balloon Boy take the batteries from the flashlight, but like, just rip his head off, you know? Did you hear? How long were you here? Because I completely went into the second FNAF film. When you mess with my beloved Five Nights at Freddy's lore, then I get mad. You just got back because I completely went through this film. I went over this film completely, breaking it down, talking about ups and downs with the film, stupid moments, a lot of stupid moments. As sad as it is, the golden era for Five Nights at Freddy's is long, long behind us. I really need to rewatch the film just for the Shadow Bonnie. I really need to know, is that Shadow Bonnie scene real? Did I really miss it? And did the entire theater really miss it? Because when it happened, supposedly when it happened, I heard nothing. Nobody noticed it. I didn't notice it. None of my friends noticed it. Was MatPat in it? Yes, he voices Toy Bonnie. It sounds nothing like him, too. When Toy Bonnie started speaking, I was really listening, and I'm thinking, it sounds nothing like him. The only cameo we got was Corey X Kenshin. No MatPat, no Markiplier. I think it would be damn near perfect if in the third film we had Markiplier voice Phone Dude. I think that'd be perfect. Doesn't even have to be Phone Dude giving messages to the security guard. It could just be Phone Dude on the speaker to Fazbear Frights, like, hey everyone, hope you're having a good time at our establishment. Just remember, no making out in the corner, no stealing props, that kind. But yeah, second film, along with the third film, they kind of screwed up a lot of story points. They completely assassinated some characters. They teased future storylines that I really question how they're going to pull off now. You can argue that Circus Baby doesn't necessarily mean anything since it was a dream sequence. But that implies Circus Baby already exists somewhere in the world for Vanessa to have a memory of her. And a memory of her with green eyes nonetheless. So I don't know, are they gonna shoehorn in Vanessa having a younger sister who died inside of Circus Baby in the past? by the way the characters act, it also doesn't seem like any sort of bite of 83 happened. No crying child dying at Fredbear's or by Fredbear. It doesn't seem like that happened at all, because if it did, if we see in a future film that did happen, and then it just turns out this whole time our characters just don't mention it, that is gonna be very lame. That's gonna be so lame. That this whole time, the entire time we saw Vanessa, she had a younger brother who died at the jaws of Fredbear, and she just never mentioned it. She doesn't think about it, she doesn't mention it. That would be so lame. But it would also be the same if Vanessa has a younger sister who died inside of Circus Baby and she just never mentioned it. Then again, she never mentioned Michael to Mike, which, like, damn, you know? You know clearly that they were debating in the first film, maybe we want Mike to be not Michael Schmidt. Maybe we want Mike Schmidt to be Michael Afton, but then nope, two separate characters. One's just Mike, one's just Michael. I actually don't need to mention the fact that Michael Afton, his skin's not purple. I don't need to mention that, actually, because they're moving forward with the plot, not backwards like with the games as prequels. So, technically, it seems like in the movies, sister location hasn't happened yet. Mike hasn't gone underground and gotten scooped yet. Oh, right, I also need to question this. When is the third film going to take place? Because the second film takes place 2 years after the first. Will the third film take place a couple years later? Or will they do the 30-year time jump? Maybe not 30, let's say 10-year time jump, 20-year time jump. But the Freddy's location is being demolished the next day. Did they really wait 20 years after finding the artifacts before opening up the fright attraction? No, what if the location wasn't being demolished until decades in the future? Like, that post-credit scene was a flash forward in time, right? The establishments were abandoned for decades already. It's only now they're suddenly being demolished. I don't freaking know, man. Lots of questions regarding the films. A lot of things that they got wrong. But whatever. Whatever, it's the movie we got, and, well, never gonna get it anymore. Like I keep saying when it comes to these kind of movies, once we get them, we're not getting any other version. We're not getting any other iteration. Like, we're never gonna get a rebooted Five Nights at Freddy's film franchise, to tell the plot, the lore more accurately. We're never gonna get that. At least not in this lifetime. Maybe a century from now, they will do the films again, but right now, no. No, the movies we got are what we got, and that's not changing. You know, it's kind of like, once we get Avengers Secret Wars, they're never going to tell Secret Wars in movie form again. At least not anytime soon. Maybe a couple centuries from now, they will try the concept in movie form again. But in this lifetime, no. Once we get it, that's it. We're not getting another retelling. We'll never get Avengers versus Thanos in live action again. like, what we got, that's it. Well, couple more minutes and then I will call it for tonight. Did you guys hear what the theory of Shadow Freddy and Shadow Bonnie even are? The theory I attach to the most is that they were employees who died inside of the Springlock suits. If not, then I would have absolutely no idea what Shadow Freddy and Shadow Bonnie are. You ever wonder what would happen if this were tried in real life? You hide a dead body inside the suit of an animatronic in real life. You ever wonder what would happen? Well, I'm sure nothing. Nothing would happen. You know, it's real life. But yeah. Well, I'm about to end for tonight. I yapped about FNAF the entire night. Can you tell that I'm passionate? If I forget anything, then I'll mention it next time. By the way, behind the scenes, they did indeed show that the opening sequence, it was indeed Matthew Lillard inside the suit, but they never showed his face. So it's like, what was even the point? Alright, last encounter for tonight. And nothing. See you guys next time. Happy New Year.